Ambassador Telva's vestigial wings trembled as she transmitted the final distress call. Her people, the gentle Sievery, had exhausted every diplomatic channel in the Galactic Council. The Kralik swarm had descended upon their garden worlds like locusts, consuming everything in their path. 3 colonies had already gone dark. "Please," she whispered into the quantum communicator, her translator struggling to convey the depth of her desperation. "We seek only refuge, sanctuary, a place to—" The response came not in words, but in action. 72 hours later, the Kralik swarm queen Jothrak felt something she had never experienced in her species' 10,000-year history of conquest. Confusion. Her sensor drones detected vessels emerging from slipspace at the edge of the Sievery home system, but these ships bore no markings she recognized. They weren't requesting parley or broadcasting surrender terms. They were already firing. "Identify those vessels," she chittered at her tactical officers. "Unknown configuration, Your Eminence. Hull composition suggests extreme density. Radiological signatures indicate primitive fusion drives. They appear to be—" The officer's mandibles clicked in disbelief. "They appear to be from a death world." Jothrak's compound eyes narrowed. Deathworlders were myths, stories told to frighten juvenile swarmlings, planets so hostile that evolution produced organisms capable of thriving in environments that would kill any civilized species. No such species had ever achieved spaceflight. Until now. Admiral Chen Wei stood on the bridge of the UNSC Indomitable, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. Beside her, Captain Morrison was already coordinating strike patterns with the other 73 vessels in the human expeditionary fleet. "Ma'am, the Sievery are broadcasting thanks and requesting we fall back to defensive positions around their homeworld," the communications officer reported. Chen's expression didn't change. "Negative. Morrison, signal the fleet. We're not here to hide behind their planets." "Aye, Admiral. All ships attack formation Delta 7. The Kraliks had never encountered an opponent that actively sought close-quarters engagement in void combat. Every civilized species understood the basic doctrine. Maintain distance, use long-range energy weapons, preserve your ships. Combat was mathematical, calculated, bloodless. Humans had different mathematics. The UNSC Valkyrie took 17 direct hits from Kralik's plasma cannons as she closed to knife-fighting range. Her armor, designed to survive the crushing pressures of Earth's deepest oceans and the searing heat of Venus's atmosphere, held, barely. At 300 kilometers, she released her payload, kinetic kill missiles. 40-ton tungsten rods accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed. The Kralik's destroyer shattered like glass. "They're insane," Jothrak's tactical officer reported. "They're trading hits. Their vessels are suffering catastrophic damage, but they keep advancing." The Swarm Queen watched in horror as another 3 of her heavy cruisers vanished from the tactical display. The Deathworlder ships fought like wounded predators, vicious, relentless, seemingly unconcerned with their own survival. Several human vessels were hulled, venting atmosphere and debris, yet they continued firing until their reactors went dark. What kind of species builds ships expecting them to die? The answer was simple. One that evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every single day. Ambassador Telva watched the battle from the surface of her homeworld. Her people gathered around view screens in stunned silence. They had called for help, expecting perhaps a small escort fleet, a humanitarian mission, maybe a coalition peacekeeping force to negotiate terms with the Kraliks. Instead, the humans had brought war. "Why are they doing this?" her aide whispered. "They don't even know us. We've never traded with their species. We have nothing to offer them." Telva couldn't answer. She didn't understand either. The Galactic Council had explicitly warned against contacting the newly discovered human civilization. Volatile, the report had labeled them. Prone to violence. Evolved from pursuit predators. Recommend quarantine protocols. The Sievery had been desperate enough to ignore those warnings. Aboard the Indomitable, Admiral Chen received the casualty reports with a stone face. 14 ships lost, 8 more crippled, 3,000 dead. But the Kralik's formation was breaking. "Ma'am, we're receiving a transmission from the Kralik Swarm Queen," the communications officer announced. She's requesting terms of surrender." Morrison looked stunned. "The Kraliks don't surrender ever. Their doctrine is total war or total retreat." Chen allowed herself the ghost of a smile. "Send a response. Tell her we accept her surrender, effective immediately. All Kralix forces will withdraw from Siveri space within 12 hours, or will resume combat operations. And if she asks about our terms are simple: leave these people alone forever. The message was transmitted. 6 minutes later, the Kralix swarm began their withdrawal, their massive bioships limping toward the outer system. They left behind their dead, their equipment, and something they'd never relinquished before: a battlefield. Jothrak would spend the rest of her life trying to explain to the Swarm Collective what had happened. How a species barely 2 centuries into spaceflight had shattered a fleet that had conquered 40 star systems. How creatures from a death world fought not with cold logic, but with something the Kralix had no word for: righteous fury. On the surface, Ambassador Telva finally understood. The Siveri had called for help. They'd asked for sanctuary, for protection, for someone to shield them from the monsters at their door. The humans had heard a different message. They'd heard a plea from the defenseless, and their ancient predator instincts had awakened. Not to hunt the weak, but to hunt the hunters, to bare their teeth at the darkness and dare it to come closer. The Deathworlders hadn't come to hide the Siveri behind walls. They'd come to burn down the enemy's house. As the last Kralix vessel vanished from sensors, Admiral Chen opened a channel to the Siveri homeworld. Ambassador Telva, this is Admiral Chen Wei of the United Nations Space Command. Your space is clear. We'll maintain patrol for the next 72 hours to ensure the Kralix don't return. After that, she paused. After that, you might want to reconsider your membership in a galactic council that left you to die alone. Telva's translator struggled with Chen's final words, but their meaning was clear enough. When predators come for the innocent, you don't negotiate. You don't hide. You don't call for peacekeepers. You call the humans.